What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video. And in this one, we are going to be talking about the New England Patriots official Week 1 of the playoffs matchup against the Buffalo Bills. The two matchups for the New England Patriots were either going to be the Buffalo Bills or the Cincinnati Bengals. New England would have either went to Cincinnati or went to Buffalo. So before we get into this video, I do want you guys to comment below, what do you think about this? Do you prefer the Buffalo Bills, or would you have rather had the Cincinnati Bengals? Let me know in the comment section and let me know why. Now, this will be the third time this season that the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills will be going up against each other. So a lot of familiarity between these two teams, of course, being in the same division within the AFC East. The AFC East was also very close between these two teams. Before today, both of these teams actually had the same record. The only reason that the Buffalo Bills were ahead of the New England Patriots was because they had that tiebreaker. Now the Bills sit at 11-6 after a win against the Jets in Week 18, and the New England Patriots sit at 10-7 after a highly disappointing loss against the Miami Dolphins. And really, this will be the true definition of who gets the bragging rights between these two teams for the 2021 NFL season. Because like I mentioned, these teams did play twice, but they were cut in half. New England won one, and the Bills won one. And you could say, well, the Buffalo Bills essentially came out. They had a better record by one game. They won the AFC East. But at the end of the day, before today's games, before the final week, Week 18 here, where again the Patriots lose to the Dolphins and the Bills just beat the Jets, both these teams were the same record, and the only reason the Bills essentially were winning the AFC East was because of a tiebreaker they had against other teams. This playoff matchup also holds a lot more weight than these two regular season games. You know, this isn't Week 13 or Week 16. The loser of this game goes home. This in-division rivalry, this matchup, you get to send your opponent home. Whether you're the Buffalo Bills winning and sending the New England Patriots home, or you're the New England Patriots sending the Buffalo Bills home in their stadium. And of course, the winner of this game will have the better record for the win versus loss against each other for this season. Now, this game will be a Saturday game. This will be next Saturday, which means that both of these teams have less than a week to prepare for this. This is going to be an 8:15 game. And again, because the Buffalo Bills are the AFC East winners, this will be played in Buffalo. Now, we do not know the current exact status of the weather for Saturday's game, but from what is being projected, it is not looking good. Potential snowstorm. Looks like it could be a potential windy game. So this could be an incident where the team who plays in the weather the best could come out on top. And from what we saw in their first matchup, which was ironically also in Buffalo, New England was that team that came out on top when it came to the weather. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about this matchup later in this video. I do actually want to talk about who would I have preferred. Would I have preferred the Buffalo Bills or the Cincinnati Bengals? Now, both of these matchups would have been tough. Both have their advantages and both have their disadvantages. If you went against the Bengals, a disadvantage you have is all of those weapons offensively that the Bengals have. Joe Burrow is playing fantastically. Of course, you also haven't played against the Bengals, so you don't necessarily know how you're going to match up against them, and you're going to have to make changes in game in order to kind of adapt to the way that the Patriots would potentially be playing against the Cincinnati Bengals offense. And we've already seen this season that the Patriots making adjustments just has not gone well all season. But the Bengals coaching staff also is not up to par, I would say, with Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. And obviously the Cincinnati Bengals defense is nowhere close to what the Patriots have had to go up against when it comes to the Miami Dolphins or, for example, the Buffalo Bills. Then you switch to the Buffalo Bills side of things, and both the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills are familiar with each other, so no one really has an advantage or a disadvantage there. It truly is going to come down to which coaching staff can perform the best. But of course, in this game, you're also playing for bragging rights, which is something that you wouldn't have had in the Cincinnati game. But again, you are also going up against a much, much, much better defense who also really wiped you out in your last matchup. Now, me personally, I would have slightly preferred the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I do know a lot of people wanted the Bills, not from an easier standpoint in the matchups, but because they do want to be able to, potentially win this game, get those bragging rights from the Buffalo Bills, because the Bills think that they now own the New England Patriots. But from a pure competitive standpoint, I am more confident in the Patriots going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a quarterback who, this is his first time ever in the NFL heading into a postseason, first ever playoff game. New head coaching staff who, they're heading into, well, not new as in this year, but, new head coaching staff that hasn't ever played in the playoffs, has not played in the Super Bowl before. This is going to be new to them also. And again, with that lack of talent there defensively in Cincinnati, that would have given more opportunity, more marginal room for the Patriots offense to get off to a slow start if it happens, to make mistakes, because you have a much, much, much smaller margin to make those mistakes and start off slow when you're playing a team like Buffalo. But now to talk a little bit about this matchup. Now, I want to kind of reference the second game that the Patriots and the Bills played in New England when New England lost 33-21, because I look at that first matchup that the Patriots won in Buffalo, and you can't really take too much from it because both game plans for both teams were highly altered due to the weather. It's not going to be that exact same scenario again. Now, the good news is that the Patriots should have a very good game plan against the Buffalo Bills, because the Buffalo Bills really just threw everything at the New England Patriots in their last matchup just a couple of weeks ago, where they put up, again, 33 points. When they originally lost to the Patriots just a couple weeks prior to Week 16, Sean McVay was peed off. Everybody in the Bills locker room was going off before the actual second matchup in Week 16 between the Patriots and the Bills, where the Bills came to New England. Buffalo Bills fans were putting up, billboards by Gillette and everything like that. This was a game that the Buffalo Bills just direly wanted to win. And I think because of that, they threw everything at the Patriots, not necessarily thinking that they were going to end up matching up against them in the playoffs, especially Week 1. So good news there is that the Patriots have a lot of things on tape, both offensively and defensively, although especially offensively here, from the Buffalo Bills to get a good idea on how to game plan against them. I just honestly don't see what else the Buffalo Bills are going to have to throw at New England offensively, defensively, that is going to be much different than what we have seen in these last two matchups. I'm much more confident that the Patriots are going to be able to come out with things schemed-wise, whether it's offense or defense, that the Bills have not seen yet from this team this season, versus it being the other way and the Bills doing that. Now, New England definitely has to play a much better game defensively. I would say that's probably the biggest takeaway from Week 16, is that if the defense plays in this playoff game how they did in Week 16, we're done before we even get started. 33 points offensively, that is more than enough said. You're going to lose the game. Right now, the Patriots just do not have the offense to be able to compete with a team that is going to put up points like that on the board. And it wasn't stopping the run, surprisingly, that was tough for New England in this game. It was defending the pass. Josh Allen threw 47 passes, completed 30 of them for 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Josh Allen was also the leading rusher in this game with 12 carries, 64 yards, averaging 5.3 yards per carry. If there is one guy you have to shut down in this game, it's going to be Josh Allen. And of course, that's much easier said than done. But he's definitely someone that you can force into making mistakes in the passing game. And the problem with this is that New England would finally get the Bills' offense to a third down, a third and long. And they could not stop or contain Josh Allen on the outside. That is going to be one of the biggest things that this team has to do also, is be able to contain Josh Allen from a scrambling standpoint. Limit what he can do with his legs, and I promise you, he's going to end up making a mistake within passing the ball. I mean, the rushers after Josh Allen were pretty mediocre. Devin Singletary had 12 carries for 39 yards and 1 touchdown, averaging 3.3 yards an average. Zach Moss had 3 carries for 12 yards. He averaged just 4 yards an average. And then Isaiah McKenzie had an attempt for -1 yards. Really, in this Week 16 matchup, there were 2 players that really just killed the New England Patriots when it comes to the Bills' offense. And that was Josh Allen and Isaiah McKenzie. Other than those 2 players, nobody truly popped off. The Patriots were able to hold Stephon Diggs to 7 receptions on 13 targets for only 85 yards, and then, of course, that 1 touchdown. Only 85 yards for Stephon Diggs is pretty good numbers. The next leading rusher after Stephon Diggs was Devin Singletary. He had 6 targets, 5 receptions, 39 yards. Emmanuel Sanders, 4 targets, 2 receptions, 20 yards. You look at these running back statistics. You look at these wide receivers, tight ends, running back statistics in the pass catching game. And nothing pops off the board except for 2 players. Again, Josh Allen, who was their leading rusher, and Isaiah McKenzie, who was targeted 12 times with 11 receptions for 125 yards and 1 touchdown. Buffalo won this game because in pretty much every single important category, Buffalo beat New England. They beat them in third down efficiency. They beat them on time of possession. They beat them in the turnover battle. They beat them in sacks allowed. The Patriots didn't sack Buffalo a single time. Buffalo also averaged more yards per play. So what New England needs to do is they need to come out and they need to start hot. They've been starting slow the last several weeks, and that is something that they cannot do in this game, especially once you reach the postseason. The last several weeks, we've seen where the Patriots offense starts slow and then picks it up in the second half, but that defense is not able to get those key stops that the offense needs once they finally get jolted. If the Patriots can get their offense and defense to play more complementary football, the outcome should be different from what we've seen the last several weeks. The 2 biggest categories that I think New England needs to win is time of possession and the turnover battle. All year, the turnover battle has killed New England in several of their losses. If New England doesn't have these essential turnovers, they win the turnover battle in some of these losses that they had in these games, they're easy dubs. You even look at most recently in this game against the Miami Dolphins. Final week, week 18, New England has too many essential turnovers at the wrong time. They lose the turnover battle again against Miami, end up losing the game. If New England can just take care of the football, not have stupid turnovers, whether it's fumbling, whether it's Mac Jones throwing stupid interceptions, and they can force the Buffalo Bills offense to fumble the ball or make Josh Allen throw an interception at least once, I have more confidence in this team coming out with the win. With that being said, you also want to keep the ball as long as you possibly can, and this kind of comes back to what teams used to do against the New England Patriots when Tom Brady was at quarterback. You just did not want Tom Brady on the field because you knew he was going to get the job done, and that's not giving a boatload of credit here to Josh Allen, who's a great quarterback, but nowhere even close to what Tom Brady is or was. But you know that if you give the Buffalo Bills offense enough opportunities, they are going to outperform this Patriots defense. So if New England can dominate time of possession and keep the Bills offense and Josh Allen off the field, putting together 6, 7, 8-minute offensive drives going down the field and even putting up touchdowns or field goals, as long as you're putting up points on those drives, New England should come out with the win. An aspect that the Patriots really missed in this loss in Week 16 was Ramondre Stevenson. I think we've seen several times where Ramondre Stevenson doesn't have Damien Harris or Damien Harris doesn't have Ramondre Stevenson. That 1-2 punch between those guys, the Patriots is just not as successful. And this was one of those weeks where Damien Harris popped off, but again, they did not have that 1-2 punch of another running back. It was really just the Damien Harris show with Brandon Bolden mixed in there a little bit. back in the Patriots' first matchup this season in Buffalo, where they actually won against the Bills, they had that 1-2 punch of Damien Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, and that was a big reason they ended up winning this game because they dominated in the running game. So running the ball is going to be the number one priority in this game. This is going to be the most important thing to do. And it's something that cannot get away from the team. It's something that needs to be established all the way from the first quarter all the way into the fourth. With that being said, I don't expect this to be a big Mac Jones game. And I think if the Patriots want to win this game, it cannot be a Mac Jones game. Mac Jones had his worst game of the season against this loss against the Bills in Week 16. 32 passes thrown, only 14 completed for 145 yards and 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. Both of those interceptions going to Micah Hyde. Ironically, when the Patriots won, they won because their run game was established. Their run game was elite between Ramondre Stevenson and Damien Harris, and Mac Jones did little to nothing. Then, the Patriots lose. They had Mac Jones throwing 32 passes compared to, the 3 passes he threw the first time they played. The run game was not nearly established as it was the first time around, and the Patriots end up losing. Now, it's definitely going to be a fine line between those two games when it comes to Mac Jones. He's not going to just throw 3 or 5 passes, but he should not be throwing 32 passes, and the game should not be put on his shoulder in a pass-heavy offense for the Patriots in this game. Something that is going to be super important when the passing game does need to get going, and when it is involved, you have to get guys like Hunter Henry and also guys like Jonnu Smith more involved, which we've been saying about Jonnu all year long. Hopefully he can pop off in the postseason, but especially Hunter Henry in this game. Get these tight ends involved. The Bills have had issues guarding tight ends all season, and in our Week 16 loss against the Bills, Hunter Henry was only targeted once and had only 9 yards. Or he was only targeted 6 times with only 1 reception for 9 yards. Getting them involved will be crucial in the Patriots' limited passing attack in this game. Now, before we end this video off, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsors of this video and the sponsors of the channel, betonline.ag. Guys, BetOnline is here for another football season. They're here for the playoffs, the postseason, the Super Bowl. This is your best time to bet on BetOnline. Now, if you don't know BetOnline, they're the number one sport for all pro and college football action, and of course, several other sports at that. They have a new updated site and interface with even more odds, props, and contests, and they continue to be the number one source for everything football. All you guys have to do is head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 100% off welcome bonus. Guys, that is double your initial deposit just for signing up. Do not forget to use that promo code NFL100. Again, that is NFL100. You know, from football to basketball to boxing, even to your favorite Vegas casino games, do not wait to take advantage of all of the amazing offers still available for this season. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. But the New England Patriots will be heading to Buffalo on Saturday, 8:15, to take on the Bills for the first week of the playoffs. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section below. Like always, remember to leave a big like on this video. Subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. But like always, I appreciate you guys, and go Pats.